Banjo-Kazooie on a Nintendo console? Is this 1998? No, it is 2020. Hey guys, welcome to a brand new Let's Play. Let's play Banjo-Kazooie. But I don't want to say anything right now because this is one of the most iconic intros in gaming of all time. And saying anything, trying to talk over this would be sacrilege. We'll have plenty of time to talk about my thoughts and all that, but until now, I think this is a good time to let the game speak for itself. So without further ado, yeah! Oh man, I never get tired of that intro. But we're only going to be seeing it one time for this playthrough, obviously. So yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, the original Nintendo 64 version. As far as I know, this is the first time that's ever been re-released in this exact context. Now, we should address the elephant in the room, that is the Xbox Live Arcade version of Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, but that's the sequel and this is the original. You know, that is two different points of discussion. Actually, there was that intro, but there's also like a story intro, but there's no music or anything, so why don't we just, but I do like the touch here that there are 3 files that the game gives you, and the third one is probably my favorite because Banjo is playing on a Game Boy, and not even a Game Boy Color, the original Game Boy. I don't even think it's a Game Boy Pocket. And yeah, here's one where he's cooking next to a goldfish in a bowl. I can't help but feel like the goldfish in the bowl is kind of a reference, or I should say was referenced in Tooie, I think. But, I don't know. And the original, the first file, is just Banjo in bed. And if you start the file, bada bing bada boom, it's time to get up, Banjo boy, because oh man, you want to talk about one of the greatest 3D platformers of all time? Besides Super Mario 64, and even then, I feel like this game aged better, honestly. Like, in what way has Banjo-Kazooie really aged? Like, even the camera system is better than Super Mario 64, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about gameplay and such. We need to talk about the story a little bit. Just a little bit, though, because Banjo-Kazooie doesn't overly indulge in the story, which is good. It has a nice balance. We get an optional intro, you know, before the game starts, and now we have a story cutscene introducing everything, and we're gonna have one more as well after this. But between these few cutscenes and the end of the game, you're really not going to be interrupted by many cutscenes, which I think is very nice. Since this is the original N64 version, I don't think you could skip the cutscenes. Maybe you can in the Xbox version, but at any rate, yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is a game, alright. And, I did play it when it originally released in 1998, so, but, I think I stopped at the 3rd world because I remember it being pretty hard. And this game isn't easy. I will say that. This game isn't exactly easy, but it's also not the hardest game in the world. I would say it's a comfortable middle ground in terms of difficulty the whole way through. And the difficulty curve is pretty good too, for the most part. I also think that this game, for a 3D platformer, has like the perfect length to it too. It's not too short, and it's not too long. It's not too hot, and it's not too cold. You know, the whole Three Bears story, which, funny enough, might actually be mildly relevant somehow. We'll talk more about that in a second, though. So yeah, we still got a story because what's gonna happen is that Grunty wants to do something to make herself prettier. I have to imagine for a lot of witches this might be a common theme, but as far as I know, this was like the first piece of media I've ever played or experienced that was like that, with the witch wanting to make herself look better. Seems like most of them are pretty self-indulgent about their looks, which could be seen as a good thing, to be honest. You know, just accept yourself for what you are or what you look like. That doesn't exactly apply to everyone, but it is still a pretty good mantra to follow, you know, with asterisks and whatnot. But yeah, in order to make her, in an attempt to make herself look prettier, she decides to kidnap Banjo's little sister, Tootie. Now, why Grunty kidnaps a little girl to try and make herself, presumably an adult witch, look prettier, I will say that is a little weird. But apparently it was a choice between Banjo's little sister Tootie or Kazooie, and if you didn't know better, Kazooie doesn't exactly look female or feminine or masculine, so yeah, I don't know, but Kazooie is a girl bird. She's specifically a breegull. I don't know if that's a real breed or not. I'm not exactly a bird expert. Hey, we finally talked through the intro though, so say hello, Banjo-Kazooie. And you're probably wondering what you start off with moveset-wise. Well, thankfully, we have our loyal friend Bottles the Mole, who will provide you with a tutorial of sorts. And normally, I skip the tutorial, but I think for the sake of you guys and all you people watching these videos, this Let's Play, that are probably jumping into Banjo for the first time, because maybe you were excited about Banjo in Smash Bros. Ultimate, which you should be, because that was a long time coming. And many of us thought that that was going to be impossible because of Microsoft buying out the original developer, Rare, so many years ago. Whew. Speaking of which, this is also going to be the first Let's Play in what I want to call a ongoing rare retrospective series of sorts. I mean, I could do an actual retrospective video, but some people like the Let's Play format, so I think we're going to do that first. Okay, so there's a choice. Yeah, you can push the A button to ask for the help from Bottles. If you push the B button, he'll just give you the moves, and you're free to explore the area as you will. But I think for the sake of the Let's Play and the sake of easing you guys into this, the new guys, not the people that have been playing this game since it came out, 1998 was 24 years ago. Let's let that sink in for a minute. Anyway, let's move on to the next molehill, I want to say. And this move that we're going to be taught... Are we going to get taught a move here? Because, like I said, I haven't done this tutorial in ages. Okay, so I guess this is the camera controls. They're on the yellow C buttons. Playing this on a Switch Pro Controller, normally the C buttons will be assigned to the right analog stick. But if you hold down ZR, then you can use the face buttons as the C buttons. For those that don't know what an N64 controller is, you're probably wondering what the heck are C buttons. Basically a prototype to the right analog stick in a lot of ways, because more often than not, it basically served as your camera control. And I believe this molehill is either going to teach us how to do a crouch jump or a flip flap. So let's see. The jump could use some help. Oh yeah, you telling me, Balls and Mole. What do moles know about jumping? That is a very good question. That is a very good statement, Kazooie. So, okay, I believe... Oh wow, we can't even move. Like, what? Like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this tutorial in like 20 plus years. Like, holy. Okay, it's called a double jump, but I'm pretty sure it's a flip flap. So maybe we get taught both of the moves? Oh yeah. So I guess some of these molehills will technically teach you more than one move. Because the developers designed the game like this, though, this means it's very good for speedruns, because you can just skip past this entire tutorial, and you get the moves, and you can just move on to the rest of the game. However, you may have noticed that piece over there, that floating hexagon-shaped piece over there. And, yeah, so we want to try and get that. And you're probably wondering why exactly we want this. So as you can see, we've collected 1, and now, oh, there's the character explaining it.
Have an extra honeycomb piece. Collect 6 of us to increase your energy bar.
Yeah, basically that kind of thing. So, there are 6 of them to find here in Sparrow Mountain. Banjo-Kazooie is a little generous, giving you a health upgrade, an optional health upgrade, so early in the game, right? So this might be the swimming, yep, the swimming controls over here. I find the swimming controls in Banjo-Kazooie to be actually pretty intuitive for the most part. Especially considering how rigid the movement can be, I find. But that's partially due to how the original Nintendo 64 controller stick was. That stick was a mess. Let me tell you that. Especially if you tried to play the original Mario Party with all those mini games that make you rotate the stick. And, you know, they say you shouldn't do it with the palm of your hand, but that is literally the most efficient way to spin the stick on the N64 controllers, so I don't know what to tell you. It's a lot more comfortable on modern controllers, but even then, I still wouldn't really recommend it. Alright, so we're gonna head up here, I think, to these cliffs. Now, apparently there's not a molehill here, but we can still jump on these platforms just fine with the newly obtained flip flap and get an extra honeycomb. We're halfway there already. But we can also head over here and get an extra life. Yeah, remember, Banjo-Kazooie released in the 90s, so a life system was still very much in vogue. Actually, let's head back, because there's actually another extra honeycomb piece over here. If I can climb on the tree, I guess I have to learn the ability to climb on a tree. You think it's, hopefully it's over here? I'm so used to just jumping on the tree and climbing on it, man. I can't believe it's also a move you have to learn. So, okay, not afraid of heights, so this should definitely be it. Oh, Kazooie wants to know how to fly. Not yet, but surprisingly early in the game you do learn an ability to do that, although it is conditional. Or I should say, as the Rareware developers would later put it in the game Conker's Bad Fur Day, it's context sensitive, okay? And actually, it pretty much is. So, there we go. You'll find plenty of other things to climb. Yeah, that is true. I found from experience that there are indeed more things to climb in Banjo-Kazooie than trees. In fact, one I learned very recently thanks to a friend of mine. So, we've got 2 more areas here. Both of these have extra honeycombs. This one is going to teach us how to do a stab attack, also known as the beak barge. I like that name better, but you can also call it a stab attack because that's basically what it is. So hold down the crouch button and then push the B button, which, if you're playing on Switch, is ZL. Bing bada boom. Really intuitive how they've adapted the N64 controls to the Switch, particularly in the case of Banjo-Kazooie, I find. With the other games that I've played so far on the N64 Switch Online application, yeah, I just said the full word, what? Yeah, I think it's pretty good here in Banjo-Kazooie. I think this is actually the best controlling game in terms of the transition that I've played. Between this, Paper Mario, and a little bit of Super Mario 64, but that already had the Super Mario 3D All-Stars release to get you acquainted with that, and I don't think the controls are too much different between this release and both of those releases, but I'm sure there's some minor differences. Because, yeah, they are technically 2 different versions of Super Mario 64. So this is going to teach us some attack moves. I believe we start with the regular bear scratch move, maybe? Like, we just push the B button and we do that. That's not exactly whacking something, Bottles, but it'll do. Alright, so we whack the carrot, and I think after this we fight another vegetable. But what move do we use here? Oh man, we get to fight the same enemy again? Really? Alright, well, we scratch him. The bear scratch. Ah, fearsome forward roll. Okay, so the roll is going to be very important for movement in Banjo-Kazooie. And what's pretty interesting is that you can actually do a roll cancel. What do I mean by this? Well, let me take care of the onion first. I bet you there's going to be another one. So let's wait and see if there's going to be another onion coming up here. Oh, good thing these enemies aren't harmful, or that probably could have been deadly. And now it's time for the buzzard to learn a trick. So this move we're about to learn, I think we're about to learn. The rat-a-tat-rat. Wait, what? The rat-a-tat-rat? I thought it was the rat-a-tat-tat. Well, same difference. Wait, cobble wobble? Isn't this just a cauliflower, but it's flying in the air? I think I've had cauliflower before. I want to say it's pretty delicious by vegetable standards. Bog eyes? Huh. Oh yeah, if you defeat the last enemy, you get the last extra honeycombs. There we go. And yeah, you're welcome, guys, for going through this tutorial. Because, yeah, probably never going to do this again. No offense to it, I do think it's a good tutorial, but I've played this game enough times by now to not really need it. Also, now the vegetable enemies are all over the joint. So, there is that. But it is important to show off the fact that when you defeat an enemy, you also get honeycombs, which are your health. So yeah, you don't have to get the 6 extra honeycombs to start the game off. You can start the game with 5 and never upgrade your health again for the rest of the adventure. Do I recommend this though? No. Not unless you're speedrunning. And even then, I actually wonder if in an 80% speedrun you do get some health upgrades or not. Probably not, but because the game does get harder, especially the final boss. The final boss is a challenge. Even when you're really well prepared for it, I find it is a challenge. So yeah, Bottles congratulates us on our good work.
Well done, guys.
That might be a little too high-pitched for Bottles, but you know. Sadly, we are about to enter into the witch's lair, and when we do, we're not going to run into Bottles as much as we did here at Sparrow Mountain, but keep an eye out. Our business with Bottles isn't quite done yet. He will help us out on the adventure quite a bit. Oh, before we go though, showing off a roll cancel. So if you push the B button, you do a roll. You don't even have to hold it. You just push the B button and you do a roll. But if you roll and then jump in the middle of the roll, you will cancel out of the roll, which I would say is a little faster than just letting the roll animation play out. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind if you're an aspiring speedrunner. Because I will admit, Banjo-Kazooie speedruns are pretty fun to watch. But as I like to do with playthroughs that I do, Let's Play or otherwise, I have to make this statement. That this is not a speedrun. And you should not expect this to be a speedrun, nor should you expect speedrun strategies to be shown off. Sometimes they will, because I think some of them are cool. But if it involves skipping important story dialogue, cutscenes, and whatnot, I would prefer to leave that in for the most part. Alright though, that's the setup. And that was the second cutscene I was alluding to. That's the setup. However, gameplay progression in Banjo-Kazooie is largely tied to the golden jigsaw pieces that we know and love. We only call them the Jiggy. And this one is Mr. Jiggy. This is the only Jiggy in the game that has dialogue, as far as I know. So, we start off with a single jigsaw puzzle piece, and we make our way forward. By the way, take a look at this picture. Ain't that a sight to behold? Especially at 240p. At least I think that's what the N64 resolution was. 240p, maybe 360p on a good day. Boy, I don't miss those days, in terms of the resolution anyway. So in order to unlock worlds, you have to find picatures in Banjo-Kazooie, which are basically puzzles. And the Jiggies you collect finish these puzzles. So you're collecting the jigsaw pieces to finish the paintings. And that's how you unlock every level in Banjo-Kazooie. But you have to collect more jigsaw pieces from the worlds you unlock. And you can just push the A button to put a piece in the puzzle and finish the puzzle, as it were. As we unlock the first real level of the game. I know that might be debatable for some people, but this is the first level in the game that's going to have the standard items to hunt. Because you may have already picked up on this, but Banjo-Kazooie is a collectathon. Because there is a lot to collect. By the way, I highly recommend this if you're playing on Switch like I am. Always create a new save state when you begin a new world. I will explain this more probably shortly. If not, then definitely before we are finished with the level of the world. Same difference. The enemies here are not going to be much harder than what we saw with the vegetables from Sparrow Mountain. There are also 5 dinosaur-like creatures called Jinjos to collect, and floating skulls that are Mumbo tokens. You're probably wondering why those are called Mumbo tokens. Well, first of all, when you collect them, they say, "Ika Boko," which is a very nice voice clip, let me tell you. It's so fun, in fact, that it became a meme for a little while. I was very happy to see that happen to a game that was already over 20 years old. Thank you very much, Internet. Anyway, we're going to head forward here. There are multiple ways you can progress through Mumbo's Mountain, and I do like completing the levels fast in general, just to challenge myself, but, you know, we're not exactly trying to be fast, we're just trying to be efficient. So, there are some notes to collect underwater. Spiral Mountain is obviously the tutorial area, but Mumbo's Mountain is where, I wouldn't say the gloves are off completely, but it's like, Spiral Mountain is where the training wheels are on. Mumbo Mountain is where, like, you have the training wheels off, but still have, like, safety gear, because a lot of the enemies here aren't going to kill you. This bull over here, though, might kill you. So, let's try to attack into this guy. That's not going to be easy. I don't even think he's fully knocked out, so we're going to leave him alone. These are beehives. You can destroy the beehives to get honeycombs inside of them, but I don't think we need that right now. We're at full health, so we'll leave the good old beehive alone. I think we do want to come over here, so say hello to Conga the gorilla. Now, he's going to start throwing oranges at you because you're disturbing his area. What you want to do is you want to stand on these orange switches. So he throws the orange on the switches. Normally you can hear a sound cue, but since I am playing this without sound, just so the noise doesn't get picked up on the microphone, it's going to be a little hard for me, but hey, I appreciate a little bit of challenge early on in the game, like come on now. Also, the 2 Jiggies have dialogue. Because yes, in each of the main worlds of Banjo-Kazooie, there are 10 Jiggies to collect in total. One of them you get by finding all 5 Jinjos, so in essence, it's 9 individual pieces, and then, you know, 1 you get for 5 Jinjos. And when you're ready to leave the world, just return to the start area, the little pad at the start, and you'll be all good. Alright, so now we want to try and avoid Conga's oranges, collect an orange from the tree, because we want to bring the orange over here to Chimpy. I wonder if Chimpy is perhaps related to our friend Diddy Kong. Maybe? Hey, Diddy Kong's my favorite Donkey Kong character, so I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I think Chimpy might be related because Rare technically created Diddy Kong. Yeah, because they made Donkey Kong Country. With Nintendo's blessing, of course. Donkey Kong is a Nintendo IP, but still. Man, those British developers really made some amazing video games, huh? It'd be a shame if some company bought them away from Nintendo. Anyway, it's time for the buzzard to learn the ancient ways of the egg. Basically, this will teach us how to shoot eggs out of Kazooie's mouth, but also through another avenue, I think. Well, let me see. I don't know if they're actually individual techniques or if we get them both in one go. Oh yeah, you push the bottom C button and the eggs come from behind, so there you go. I do find that shooting the eggs from behind can come in clutch sometimes, but more often than not, you definitely want to be shooting your eggs forward rather than backwards. It's also a lot more flattering to do it that way, so yeah. An epic side effect of Bottles is that whenever he teaches you a new move, he will also refuel your energy. So that is a pretty nice convenience. At the start of the game, you can hold up to 100 blue eggs. And I highly suggest you keep yourself, up to snuff on that. And there's the Mumbo token giving dialogue the second time I collect it. And here's a witch switch. But we need to learn an ability to actually unlock it. So I think at this point, we're going to leave this area and come back when we learn how to ground pound, which I'm pretty sure I know where that is. And we also want to learn an ability that helps us go up steep hills. But not super steep hills, mind you, just relatively steep. So, thankfully, these steps will help us to get up here. By the way, these musical notes, it's worth talking about these too. You want to collect 100 of these in every world. But here's one point where the Xbox version and the Nintendo 64 version differ quite a bit. In the Nintendo 64 version, the musical notes are more of a high score kind of thing. What do I mean by this? What I mean is that if you collect 96 notes and say you lose a life, you restart at the beginning of the level and you have to collect those musical notes all over again in order to try and get the high score of 100. And you need to get musical notes because there are musical note doors in Grunty's lair that will block your progress otherwise. Alright, so here we learned the Talon Trot, which is one of my favorite moves in the entire series. Yes, I said series, because this is a move that we will also have in Banjo-Tooie, which is the sequel to Kazooie. And I will say, if that does get a release on the Nintendo Switch Online app, I will heavily consider doing a Let's Play of that as well, because that was the Banjo game I actually played a lot more of back in the day. However, over time, I've come to appreciate Kazooie quite a bit more than Tooie, even if I have stronger childhood memories of Tooie. Arguing which game is objectively better is mostly a waste of time, though. I think they are both excellent games, but in somewhat different ways, and also in different doses as well. Good lord. Tooie is such a massive, it is a big game. And I completely flubbed that up. I was trying to get that extra honeycomb piece early because, believe it or not, the Talon Trot isn't quite enough for that. But you can kind of cheese it. But thankfully, we're over here back at the start, and we can collect these musical notes on the cliffs, on this hill. I think there's another Jiggy around here somewhere, too. Because this is the first level, so a lot of the Jiggies are just kind of out in the open. Or they require, very little work to actually collect. But what we're trying to do is that your goal in Mumbo's Mountain is basically to get some Jiggies, get some notes. Apparently you only need to collect 50 notes to unlock the first note door, which Bottles is kind enough to inform you of, because we haven't actually run into a note door yet. Don't worry, because this episode isn't going to end as soon as we finish Mumbo's Mountain. We are going to explore the lair a little bit at least, because we barely touched on it, obviously. Before we continue, we're going to head in here into... I assume this is called the Termite Mound, and you might be wondering why it's called the Termite Mound. Because it's full of termites. We want to come here to collect the Mumbo token. Because there aren't that many Mumbo tokens in Mumbo's Mountain, ironically enough. And I know, you've probably been wondering for a long time, who the heck is Mumbo? Well, before we find out about that, we need to learn the third and final move from this level, the Beak Buster. This is essentially your ground pound, so you'll find that some moves you learn early on in Banjo-Kazooie are reminiscent of moves you learn in Super Mario 64, but some moves are kind of an advancement as well, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, there's nothing more that Bottles can teach us on this world, but hey, maybe in the next world he'll have a lot more to teach us. So anyway, there are these huts with musical notes on top of them, and some of them have even more musical notes for you to collect. Ain't that fun? And yeah, let me get this Mumbo token right here before I forget. I don't usually forget, but it's probably a good idea to still remember it anyway. So let's go ahead and get this note and this hut. Like I said, some of these huts won't have musical notes. One of them might have a Jiggy though. I can neither confirm nor deny this. You'll just have to wait and see because we don't have too many more to destroy. Hell, there was someone living in that hut, but we destroyed it because I wanted the musical note. Alright? Oh, there was a Jinjo! Alright. Still got one more Jinjo to find. Wonder where that is. Okay, so this hut is probably the one with the Jiggy, and there was a guy living on top of it. Hey, at least it's a change of pace, I would say. Alright, so that's going to be our 5th Jiggy, which means we're halfway through. So probably noticed this rotating tiki statue. You want to shoot eggs into it, basically. So, yep. The rotation gets a little bit faster each time, so, yep. I love trying to time the egg shoots, though. By the way, extra honeycomb you can only get if you remember to jump specifically on the final totem. But yeah, you get another Jiggy for that. Unceremoniously, I might add. Speaking of freebie Jiggies, there's a Jiggy in the eye of Mumbo's skull. So enjoy this. I also want to check behind the skull because whenever you run into Mumbo's skull in a level, sometimes there might be something hidden behind it. Not this time, though. We will come back to Mumbo's skull. We want to head back to Conga's area because of the witch switch. Now that we have a ground pound, we can actually do something with that. And can I possibly get the honeycomb this time? Nope. Well, it was worth a try. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, we're gonna head back to Conga's area over here. Yeah, the bull doesn't die. You hit it a few times, it just gets knocked out temporarily. So yeah, let's head back over here. Try to use the Talon Trot where you can, especially if you're trying to speed run, because it's a lot faster than the regular movement. Let me tell you. We do flip flat. Maybe that's the flip flat. You know, the crouch jump. So yeah, we do this, we do this, we do a little bit of this, and we do a little bit of that. Did I hit it? Okay, I hit it. So yeah, that is a very steep mountain to climb to get that Jiggy, but don't worry, I will show off how to get that. Here's a hint, it involves Mumbo. But before we do that, we still are not done with Congo over here. So, yeah, what you want to do is you want to shoot eggs at Conga. Be careful though, because he will throw oranges at you. And it should be 3 egg shots, roughly. Whoa, 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 whoa. He can be a pretty good shot if you're not careful. There we go. He does have invincibility frames on some eggs, so don't try to use more eggs than you have to. And I think after this, he finally calms down, takes a chill pill. He needs to learn, he needs to take a page out of Donkey Kong, man. Donkey Kong is usually pretty chill. Usually. Okay, so our business here is not quite done. We still have to worry about that Jinjo. Oh, we still got some notes to collect over here, that's right. Maybe the Jinjo's around here somewhere. Yeah, I imagine a yellow Jinjo would blend in with yellow musical notes pretty well. Matter of fact, speak of the devil, here's that final stinking Jinjo. And we only have 1 Jiggy left to collect here. And again, that's tied to Mumbo. So technically, Mumbo is tied to like 2 different Jiggies. But then again, were you surprised that such a case would be the case? Right, I think 90 musical notes is pretty good to hit here. And yeah, we'll get the extra honeycomb with the Mumbo Jumbo. So I've delayed it long enough. Let's head in and visit Mumbo Jumbo. It's Mumbo for short. Oh yeah, here's some musical notes over here. There's like 4 of them. So yeah, you need 5 Mumbo tokens because what will happen is that Mumbo is a shaman, and he can help Banjo progress in worlds by actually transforming them into other animals. And in the case of Mumbo's Mountain, the transformation was already kind of hinted at because it's an animal species that we've already seen. So that means it could be either a bull, a gorilla, or a termite. I'm going to let you guys guess what it is in your head before we actually do it. By the way, some extra eggs up there. That's another good thing you want to do with Mumbo's skulls. When you're on to the inside, you want to check the rafters to see if there's anything there. For our first transformation, we are a termite. Not to be confused with an ant. Apparently they are quite different. So the termite, unfortunately, doesn't have any combat abilities, but termite is it's able to cling onto walls a lot better. It's not going to slip and slide. So getting this extra honeycomb is a lot easier. Not impossible without the termite, as you probably can tell. It's just, you know, why suffer? So we should have 94 notes before we enter, or I should say re-enter the termite mound. It seems like there is only 5 Mumbo tokens in Mumbo's mountain. So there's no room for error on that front. Alright, the jumps are going to be a little precise here. Just a little precise. But the termite does have a fairly sizable jump, or a fairly high jump, I should say. This termite is a pest, though. I just want him to get away from the notes. I just want to collect the notes. Alright, so now we have all 100 notes. If you get 100 notes, you never have to worry about collecting notes in the same world ever again. You will always have a musical note score of 100 for the level. That's pretty good. In the Xbox version, every single note you collect is permanently collected, which is also a thing in Banjo-Tooie. And as far as research tells, that wasn't the intent for the musical note system in the original Banjo-Kazooie. I believe they did it like this because of memory limitations, which would make sense. So you could pause the game and go to view totals to make sure that you have everything in the level. Managed to get everything in roughly 15 minutes. That is about average for Mumbo's Mountain. I think speedrunners can do it in under 10 minutes usually, probably even faster than that. So if you can do it in around 15 minutes, then you stand a pretty good chance of beating this legendary platformer, this legendary video game. Alright, so now that we're back out here, Bottles will inform you about the musical notes score system. Yeah, they are, well, we know that, Bottles, so don't overdo it now. So this is a very steep mountain, but with the termite, you can do it. However, we can't stay a termite for the entirety of Grunty's lair. Mumbo's magic has a limit in terms of distance. But now that we have 11 Jiggies in total, actually 12, we're doing pretty good. We can easily unlock the next level in Banjo-Kazooie, in the game, I should say. And we can go a little bit further in Grunty's lair, actually get a real feel for the place, you know? Instead of just the sampler that I just gave. Yes, this is a note door sealed by Grunty with one of her powerful musical spells. We know that we know of this for the most part. And yeah, it's basically rehashing some information, which isn't bad. Remember, the target demographic of this game was everyone, including little kids. But I guess that's another reason why they put in the function to skip tutorial, you know. But then again, 3D platformers were still relatively new in 1998, so I think tutorials in 3D platformers were usually more appreciated, at least for a time, which makes sense, of course. There are these grunt enemies. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. They're just grunts because they are the grunts of Gruntilda the Witch. But if we come down here, we actually unlock something called a magic cauldron. But you can also call them dingpots. So I like to call them dingpots for short. Because I think there is a magic cauldron called dingpot in Banjo-Tooie. And yeah, I just kind of associated with that name for the most part. So we'll just be calling them dingpots for short. But they are magic cauldrons. If you find a pair of magic cauldrons in the game, and you talk to each one, they can actually unlock a portal to each other. We also want to talk to this tooth fairy looking lady over here. She has green skin, so as we can assume, she is Gruntilda's nice sister. Correct down here. I probably shouldn't use words like that, though. So she's going to try and help us defeat Gruntilda by telling us all of her dirty secrets. And she will tell you 3 of them every time you run into her. Which for the most part is pretty easy to do because she's a fairly large model. Fairly large character model. So yeah. You can talk to NPCs with the B button. Grunty brushes her rotten teeth with salted slug flavored toothpaste. Okay. And for the second one, she also washes her hair with rancid milk. Oh god. Yeah, some of these can give you quite the visual. She gets her clothes from the witch's warehouse. I think that's a pretty common answer. So the answers are actually randomized every single time you play the game. So this painting only has a 2 Jiggy requirement, huh? Oh, you didn't. Well, that's a really low bar, considering you can easily get 10 Jiggies from Mumbo's Mountain. But it is what it is, I guess. So I think if you push the Z button, right? Yeah, I think if you push the Z button or something like that, you'll like put all of the puzzle pieces in there at the same time, which isn't gonna matter for the first 2 paintings, but I mean it is a feature, so that's something to keep in mind. There is another painting here. It's actually right there. You can probably see it, but we need to unlock the ability to use that pad over there. And in order to do that, we need to go to Treasure Trove Cove, which is the next level in the game, and it's mandatory. It's impossible to go to level 3 before level 2, for better or for worse. Okay, so over here, okay, that was a close call. So the entrance to Treasure Trove Cove is over there, as signified by the red eyes above the mouth-looking cave. And the next note door is over here as well. This requires 180 notes, which is actually kind of surprising. That means you need to get 90 notes from each of the first 2 levels at least. Or maybe 60 from the first 3, because maybe you can do the 3rd level before you even go in there. So, okay, before we continue, let's head into here, because I think this room has an extra magic cauldron lying around here somewhere. And an enemy, so let's knock out that enemy. Okay, so this magic cauldron is orangish, or reddish. The other one was more pinkish. So keep that in mind. There's also a Mumbo token right here. Yeah, you can find Mumbo tokens even in Grunty's lair. Wait, how do we have 2 extra Mumbo tokens? We gave 5 to Mumbo. And then... I guess I ran into one by accident. That's pretty nice. But yeah, the game has more Mumbo tokens than you actually need. So it's pretty nice that they did it like that. And let's head over here for no reason in particular. Because I like exploring Grunty's lair. And if you play this game, you should too. Oh, a switch to press. Don't mind if I do. So this will give us some pipes to go across. That's pretty nice. There's also a pipe over here, so I wonder if there's a switch to try and make that go up some, huh? Most likely, yeah. It's a pretty good idea. There's also an entrance that's barred off by bars over there. There might be something there too. Okay, so this switch will get us the pipe all the way back over there. A little bit of the backtracking, but it's in the same room, so it's not a big deal. You know, some people complain about backtracking, but for the most part, the only backtracking I usually find offensive in 3D platformers, any 3D platformer I play, is ones that involve you going back to previous levels for little to no reason. So this time we find out that Grunty wears a flea circus under that repulsive dress. Wow, fitting a whole flea circus in there? That's kind of impressive in a nasty way. She's also got this nasty pet dog whose name is Big Naka. Oh, God. So I need to remind you, this game was developed by British developers. So there is a lot of British slang thrown in here that's going to go over the head of most Americans and most people who aren't British. But if you know what a Naka is, well... Oh, how we love Rare and their sense of humor. I'll just say that much, okay? And I will also say that, from what I remember, Banjo-Kazooie was a lot more overt with that sort of thing, for better or for worse. Oh my god, these jokers, man. So, we head over here, and I'm going to laugh if this is what I think it is. So, let me collect these eggs. Hello? Let's collect the eggs over here. Oh my freaking... This is the painting for level 4. I am not even kidding. This is the painting for level 4 called Bubble Gloop Swamp. So... Okay, I want to try and put them all in there. How do I do that? I'm trying to push the Z button. Oh. If you want to place all your pieces into the picture, just... That's what I was trying to do, Mr. Bottles of the Mole. Trying to be smart. So yeah, we just unlocked the entrance to Bubble Gloop Swamp, which is actually level 4. Ain't that something? And I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. We're in the hub for the third level. So as you can see, Banjo-Kazooie is a little bit linear at times, but it does give you quite a bit of freedom too. Which is really appreciated, especially in a 3D platformer where I feel like more freedom in a 3D space has a lot more potential than a 2D space. Obviously, right? So you have that whole extra dimension to worry about. And I will also say that you shouldn't expect a Mumbo skull in every single world in the game. So for the worlds where there aren't any animal transformations or Mumbo skulls, that's a great time to stock up on Mumbo tokens because the cost for each transformation is going to go up little by little, by 5 by 5 each time. Alright, so let's head on over here to the entrance to Treasure Trove Cove. Well, the hub for Treasure Trove Cove, as it were. We'll get a taste of the enemies, or no? I thought there'd be an enemy down here somewhere, but I guess not. So we're going to park ourselves here as we end off the first episode of Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie here. So next time on Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie, everyone, we're going to start level 2, my favorite level in the game, Treasure Trove Cove. We may even do level 3 now that we got a lot of the build-up out of the way too. So tune in next time, guys.